I was sitting at that long mahogany table in my grandfather's mansion, surrounded by crystal and silver, when he dropped the bomb that shattered everything I thought I knew about my life. "I've been sending you $15,000 a month for rent," he said, his voice steady and certain. My fork clattered against the china plate. I stared at him, then at my mother across the table, watching her face drain of color.
Exactly.
$15,000. Every month. For 5 years. Money I had never seen. Money that was supposed to keep me from sleeping on friends' couches, from eating ramen 3 times a day, from dropping out of college twice because I couldn't afford tuition. In that moment, everything clicked into place, and I realized the woman who raised me had been stealing from me for years. If you're drawn to stories about justice, betrayal, and the sweet taste of revenge served cold, then you're in the right place. Hit that subscribe button and join the Revenge Unleashed family, where we bring you real stories about people who refuse to be victims. Drop a like if you're ready for a tale that will make your blood boil and your heart soar. And comment below to tell us what you would have done in this situation, because trust me, you're going to have opinions. My name is Marcus, and for most of my 27 years, I thought I was just unlucky. Born to a single mother who worked as a legal secretary, I grew up in a modest apartment in Queens, always hearing about how tight money was, always being told we had to sacrifice, to make do with less. My mother, Patricia, raised me with stories about my grandfather, her father, who had cut her off when she got pregnant with me out of wedlock. He was a self-made billionaire in commercial real estate, cold and unforgiving, or so she said. She painted him as the villain of our story, the reason we struggled, the reason I wore second-hand clothes and couldn't join my friends on spring break trips. I believed her completely. Why wouldn't I? She was my mother, the woman who supposedly sacrificed everything for me. She worked long hours, she said, just to keep a roof over our heads. When I graduated high school and wanted to go to college, she told me there was no money, that I would have to take out loans and work part-time. I did exactly that. I worked 40 hours a week at a warehouse while taking classes, sleeping maybe 5 hours a night, grinding myself into exhaustion. When the loans weren't enough and I had to drop out the first time, I felt like a failure. When it happened again 2 years later, I felt worthless. Then, out of nowhere, I got a letter. It was from my grandfather's attorney, inviting me to a dinner at the estate in Connecticut. My mother's face went strange when I showed it to her, tight and pale, but she said I should go, that maybe the old man was dying and feeling guilty. She insisted on coming with me, said she wouldn't let me face him alone. I thought it was maternal protection. I had no idea she was scared. The estate was like something out of a movie, sprawling and elegant, with manicured gardens and a circular driveway. A butler actually answered the door. My grandfather was 83, silver-haired and sharp-eyed, sitting at the head of a dining table that could have seated 20. He looked at me for a long moment when we entered, and I saw something in his expression I couldn't quite read. Regret, maybe. Or anger. Dinner started quietly, awkwardly. My mother kept the conversation superficial, talking about the weather, the food, anything meaningless. But my grandfather wasn't interested in small talk. About halfway through the main course, he set down his wine glass and looked directly at me. "Marcus," he said, "I want you to know that I've thought about you every single day for the past 27 years. My mother shifted in her seat. I could feel the tension radiating from her. "When your mother told me she was pregnant," he continued, "I was angry. I said things I regret. But I never cut her off. I never cut you off." He pulled out a folder from beside his chair and slid it across the table to me. "I've been depositing $15,000 into an account every month since you were born. It was supposed to be for your care, your education, your future." The room started spinning. I opened the folder with shaking hands. Inside were bank statements, transfer records, canceled checks, all made out to my mother. $15,000. Every single month. For 27 years. That was nearly $5 million. "Where is this money?" my grandfather asked, his eyes now locked on my mother. "Where is my grandson's money, Patricia?" I turned to look at her, and in that moment, I watched my entire childhood reframe itself. The shabby apartment we lived in wasn't because we were poor. The lack of money for college wasn't because we couldn't afford it. My mother had been living off my grandfather's guilt and generosity for nearly 3 decades, letting me suffer, letting me struggle, while she pocketed every cent meant for my future. "It went to expenses," she stammered, her voice small. "Raising a child is expensive, you don't understand. $15,000 a month, my grandfather interrupted, his voice like ice. That's $180,000 a year. You were making $40,000 at your job. Where did the rest go, Patricia? She couldn't answer. Or wouldn't. She just sat there, her face flushed, looking everywhere but at me. I felt something break inside my chest, something fundamental. This was the woman who had held me when I cried, who had helped me with homework, who I thought had sacrificed everything for me. And all of it, was built on a lie. She had stolen my future and let me believe I was just born unlucky. I stood up from the table and walked out without a word to her. My grandfather followed me to the foyer. I'm sorry, he said quietly. I should have checked on you directly years ago. I thought she was caring for you with that money. When my investigator told me you had dropped out of college twice and were working in a warehouse, I knew something was wrong. We talked for hours that night, my grandfather and I, catching up on 27 years of stolen time. He told me about his business, about my grandmother who had passed away when my mother was young, about the mistakes he made as a father that pushed Patricia away. He wasn't the monster my mother had painted. He was just a man who had made mistakes and tried to make amends, only to have his generosity exploited. My mother called me 87 times over the next 3 days. I didn't answer. I was too busy planning. You see, I might have been poor my whole life, but I was smart. I graduated in the top 10% of my high school class despite working part-time. I taught myself accounting and business basics through free online courses. And now, with my grandfather's attorney walking me through those bank statements, I learned exactly where my money had gone. She had bought a vacation condo in Florida. Paid cash. She had a BMW in a garage I didn't know existed, registered to a friend's address. She had taken trips to Europe, to the Caribbean, to places she told me she could only dream about. She had jewelry, designer clothes stored at her sister's house, investments in her name only. She had built herself a secret life of luxury while I wore shoes with holes in them and skipped meals to afford textbooks. The rage I felt was unlike anything I had experienced. It was clean and cold and clarifying. This wasn't just betrayal. It was theft. It was abuse. It was a mother sacrificing her son's future for her own comfort, and then having the audacity to play the martyr, to make me feel guilty for needing things, for wanting things, for dreaming of more. My grandfather's attorney was very good at his job. We filed a civil lawsuit for fraud, breach of fiduciary duty, and financial exploitation. We had every receipt, every transfer, every proof we needed. My mother's attorney tried to argue that the money was given to her, that she had discretion in how to use it. But my grandfather's letters, his emails, his documented intentions were crystal clear. The money was for me. All of it. The legal process was brutal and public. My mother's friends abandoned her when they learned the truth. Her siblings stopped speaking to her. She lost her job when the case made local news. I watched it all happen from a distance, living in a guest house on my grandfather's estate, getting to know the men I had been robbed of knowing my entire life. People asked me if I felt guilty. If I felt bad for destroying my mother's life. The answer was complicated. Part of me, the little boy who loved his mommy, ached with grief for what our relationship could have been. But the man I had become, the man who had suffered unnecessarily for 27 years, felt nothing but cold satisfaction. She had made her choices. Now she would face the consequences. The court ruled in our favor. Every asset she had purchased with my money was to be liquidated and returned. She was ordered to pay damages. She declared bankruptcy, of course. I knew I would never see most of that money. But that wasn't really the point. The point was justice. The point was that she would never be able to pretend again that she was the victim, the struggling single mother who sacrificed everything. Everyone would know the truth. My grandfather set me up with the funds I should have had all along. I went back to college at 27, this time without working 40 hours a week, without the constant stress of bills and debt. I flourished. I discovered I loved architecture, the blend of art and engineering. My grandfather, who had built his fortune on real estate, was thrilled. We spent evenings looking at blueprints together, discussing design and function. I was learning from a master, making up for lost time. The last time I saw my mother was at the final court hearing. She looked small and old, nothing like the vibrant woman who used to laugh at sitcoms with me on our worn couch. She tried to approach me in the hallway. "Marcus, please," she said. "I'm still your mother." I made mistakes, but I love you. I looked at her for a long moment, and I realized I felt nothing. Not love, not hate, just emptiness where she used to be. You stole my childhood, I said quietly. You stole my opportunities. You let me think I was worthless, that I was failing, when all along you were taking what was meant to give me a chance. I will never forgive that. And I will never forget it. She started crying, reaching for me, but I stepped back. You're not my mother anymore, I told her. Mothers protect their children. Mothers sacrifice for their children. You did the opposite. You sacrificed me for yourself. I walked away and never looked back. Today, I'm 32. I graduated with honors in architecture and now work at my grandfather's company, learning the business from the inside. We're designing affordable housing projects, trying to give other people the chances that were almost stolen from me. My grandfather is still going strong at 88, and we have dinner together every Sunday, making up for all those missed meals, all those lost years. Sometimes people ask me if revenge was worth it. If destroying my mother's life made me feel better. Here's what I tell them: it wasn't revenge. It was justice. It was taking back what was stolen and making sure the person who stole it couldn't do it again. Did it heal the wounds of my childhood? No. Did it give me back those years of struggle? No. But it gave me something important. It gave me the truth. And it gave me the knowledge that when someone wrongs you, even if it's family, especially if it's family, you have the right to stand up and fight back. My mother lives alone now, in a small apartment not unlike the one we used to share, the one she pretended was all we could afford. The difference is, now it really is all she can afford. Sometimes I wonder if she thinks about me, if she regrets what she did. I hope she does. I hope every day she wakes up and remembers that she had a son who loved her, who would have done anything for her, and she threw that away for money and lies. As for me, I sleep well at night. I have a family now, a real one, built on honesty and love. My grandfather and I are closer than most fathers and sons. He tells me I saved him too, gave him a reason to keep going, a legacy he can be proud of. We both got a second chance at the relationship we should have had from the beginning. So if you're out there and someone has betrayed you, if someone has stolen from you or lied to you or used your love against you, know this: you deserve justice. You deserve the truth. And you deserve to walk away from people who hurt you, no matter who they are. Family is supposed to mean love and protection and sacrifice. When it doesn't, when it means exploitation and lies, you have every right to cut those ties and build something better. Sometimes revenge isn't about destroying someone else. Sometimes it's about reclaiming yourself, your story, your future. That's what I did. And I'd do it again in a heartbeat.